Maui burns and Burning Man floods. Welcome to interesting times. Are they worried that the food will run out? The porta potties have not been tended to. It's kind of a fine, sinking dust. My concern is what's going to happen down there in that land of 70,000 stuck souls when they run out of drugs. What will we be experiencing then? We've got some great drone work, and thank you for whoever did that. Amazing. But now the party's over, and we are with Nelson Rockefeller, and we're going to talk Maui, and we're going to talk Rockefellers first, and we're going to get somewhere, maybe, just maybe. It's funny how things happen, isn't it? This is Rockefeller University in New York City, and probably not too far from Rockefeller Center, actually. But it's on the east side here. I just thought you might want to take a look at that, because we're actually going to be going to University of Chicago. There we are. And University of Chicago, even though it's called University of Chicago, is a Rockefeller school. And in other vids I've done, I think you've seen where I go to things called Rockefeller next to it. There's like the Rockefeller Chapel and the Rockefeller this and the Rockefeller that here. And the book Thy Will Be Done talks about why the Rockefellers started to have a place in Chicago. What was the purpose of the Chicago place? And darn, I'm not getting this to work really well. I wanted to show you the Rockefeller Chapel really quick if I can, so you can see the connection and not just like believe me or something. Rockefeller Chicago, I'll just type that in and we will see. There, Rockefeller Memorial Chapel, right there. All right, so let's go back and get into this book that was so extraordinary by these people who actually everything they wrote, they found in the actual Rockefeller library. So they didn't like make up anything. It was all straight from there. Well, they had their little New York covered, and we'll get back to New York. We're not going to blow New York off. But we are interested in, there it is. There's our little University of Chicago right there. And that was built as a power base for the fanning out of power in the westward expansion and going all the way down to Latin America. So it was covering all of the western US and going down to Latin America. In fact, the title is The Conquest of the Amazon. And it's incredible. It's incredible because they infiltrated all the villages down there, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before that they had intellectual Birkenstock, bearded anthropologists down there, like the old, I'm sure I've told you this before, Joseph Campbell joke, which was how many people live in a typical family in an indigenous village. He said mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, children, auntie, and anthropologist. They really were all over the place back in the 60s, 70s. You know, maybe they got all they needed now, but that really was the case. And they started all the BLM schools on the reservations and all of that kind of wild stuff. And I was trying to find pictures that had been in the book of Nelson visiting the Native Americans, and it's weird. It's like, does stuff get scrubbed? Because there used to be a lot of it, and now I found a zip and zero. But it was the Rockefellers that built those BLM schools that just sat alone out on the plains like a horror movie. And this is not Nelson, by the way. This is David. It freaks me out. David is who I would call maybe the Stockton Rush of another era, although I don't think he brought anyone else to his demise. But it was definitely rich boy playing with fire, and you see everybody who's running around in there. They're getting ready for lunch. You know, that's what they're doing. Here's a pic of him here, and see that little hungry smile right there? This is the Rockefeller who was eaten. This is the Rockefeller who done got eaten. And there was a giant exhibit of things he brought back from Papua New Guinea. Totem poles, giant canoes, everything you could imagine, big stuff. And, you know, years later, the tribe confessed, and they said, you know, we were kind of getting out of the cannibal thing, you know, that's kind of a thing of the past, and, you know, we're joining the world now, and, you know, we're not like that anymore. And, but there was this guy, you know, and he came, and we really appreciated him coming, and we gave him some canoes and totem poles, and, you know, we were just really friendly with him. And then he came back, and, you know, so we gave him more, you know, we were like, okay, he really likes this stuff. And then he kept coming back, and we had to put an end to it. We couldn't just give away all our canoes. You know, we would have nothing to fish in. We couldn't give away all of our totem poles, but this guy just, you know, he was like greedy for all of our stuff. So, you know, after the 5th or 6th time or whatever, we're like, you know what, we don't know what to do. He's gonna keep coming back. He's gonna keep taking our stuff. I guess we gotta eat him. And I think that they found his Rolex, you know, at the bottom of a something. So, yeah, so they kind of have those pictures, and not the ones that I was looking for of Nelson. But this was the younger, wilder, you know, the educated college boy. And you know, not like the daddy, but there's Nelson. And the pics of Nelson on the res are disgusting. Like, the natives came and they were giving him beautiful blankets and, you know, gorgeous art that they'd made, and he was like throwing candy, like cheap candy, out of a jeep. You know, it was just a very, very disgusting moment. Okay, here we are back to Maui for 1 minute.
Official. The commission is responsible per our authorizing statute to protect and manage all water resources in the state. One Water is like taking it, looking at it from a holistic system perspective, and that's not any different than how Hawaiians traditionally manage water. You know, in essence, we.
And oh my God, that's so weird. Why did an ad go on? Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, here we go.
Do you know you should create a
What
podcast,
the heck?
but you're not sure
Jeez
how to monetize
Louise,
it?
come on, you guys. Okay, here we go.
Native Hawaiians treated water as one of the earthly manifestations of a god and a kua kane, and so that reverence.
Okay, now we've got this guy who's talking about water and reverence and kind of like a little Moana movie, and he is the individual who was responsible for saying, no, let us hold back. We will not give water to people that are dying in a fire right now.
For a resource, and that reciprocity in relationship was something that was really, really important to our worldview and well-being, right? And living in an island, isolated from other, you know, civilizations. And so I think where it shifted to today or over time is that we've become used to looking at water as like something which we use.
Yeah. This guy needs to be up for murder one, you know. He knew that people were dying in the fire. Even if he like hates Howleys and can't stand Whitey, blah, 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 there were Hawaiians dying too. You know, there were Hawaiian, and if this guy was on fire, he'd be, he would want you to put him out. Not
necessarily something that we revere as that thing that gives us life, right? I mean, to me, it's a shift in value set.
Okay, so we've got a progressive Marxist here who's kind of trying to like use an indigenous spin. Like, oh, we let everyone die because it's like an indigenous thing, right? Which is like so not true and so creepy. I mean, I wish that I was like a nurse in a hospital and he'd come in bleeding and I'd say, I don't know, like thread, you know, like you gotta have a relationship with it, dude. Like, I can't just sew you up. We got to talk to Thread, you know. And this one, you only saw her picture before. I'd like to just watch. I haven't done this. This was filmed. Okay, first of all, this was filmed. I want to show you this. This was filmed on the day after. This was filmed the day after the fires. Okay? And, does this look like someone concerned about like their fellow native Hawaiians who just burned to death in a fire and it's the next day? Yeah, and she's just kind of like laughing and smiling. We'll do another one where we kind of go into this more and you'll hear what she has to say. I just find it completely creepy. Like, it just sort of makes me sick to my stomach just to see this person smiling, like this kind of death, you know, like this Grim Reaper kind of person, just smiling. I mean, she just lost like probably relatives. There's a ton of 2,000 children, you know, missing. And again, this is the day after the fire, the day after, and she just wants to like chat and like kind of talk and like blah blah blah. And I'm going to be doing another vid on this, and we'll be bringing Viktor Frankl into it and everything, because it's not just sort of like it's all Hawaiians together, you know. She's throwing everybody under the bus. Okay, here we go with taro. I thought, okay, we've got the taro farmers here that wouldn't give anybody their water. Like here's the water. And a lot of even Hawaiians say it's basically kind of just like a, it's not white elephant. What do they call it? Help me out with this one. What's kind of a gratuitous thing where you subsidize something, you know? So I was like, okay, cool. Let's check this out. You know, here it is. And this was the first picture of a taro field that came up. So I was like, okay, I'll just go with the first thing. We'll just try to see what's going on. So the first thing, I pull it up, Maui. I just typed in Maui farms and Cirrus Trust. That was interesting. I'm like, what's that? All right. We're in Maui. We're at the taro thing. I just think everything's just going to be nothing but like old, like indigenous, you know, taro farmers. And now I've got this thing that says Cirrus Trust. Okay. Here we are, Cirrus Trust. And at first I felt sort of guilty about it. I'm like, why am I looking at this so badly? It's just like a place that wants to save seeds and help indigenous people. But then there's another part of me that's like, you know what? The more virtuous they sound, the more scammy they usually are, right? So, and this is weird. So go to the bottom here. Go to the bottom. I kind of read all this stuff. And you go to the bottom. Cirrus Trust. It's located on 150 South Wacker Drive, which is, if you're from Chicago or you've been there, that's a mega one. That's a mega expensive downtown place. Okay. So, in fact, I brought it up so you could see it. Okay, where is the Cirrus Trust? Here it is. Here it is. It's right here. So it's on that little river where the one of the bridges is. This is fancy schmancy. And what's really funny is across the way, one of these two, I mean, they kind of look a little similar. But if you remember the vid I did just a couple of days ago, and let me see if I can pull it up or not. Do I have that under other recent things? Darn. Anyway, let me see. We've got... across the street from McGraw Hill. Okay, McGraw Hill. If you're like around my age or something, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, McGraw Hill is who did all the textbooks for schools in America. And in the last vid I talked about that, and we saw how the name of the person who was the editor for a lot of this stuff, last name was Marx. So, you know, we've got this kind of tight little thing going on here with our stuff. All right. I just found that to be interesting too. Like, wait a minute. I thought we were in a taro field in Maui, and now suddenly, like, you just can't make this stuff up, can you? Now suddenly we're here. We're here next to McGraw Hill. We're in this little weird, right, University of Chicago is what it all sprung from. Okay, well, you might say, well, what's the big deal about the Rockefellers, So they got some money, so what? And it says, what is the controversy? So this is just with plain old Google, right? It's kind of dumbed down. But I just thought, what is the controversy? And the controversy is that they were big into eugenics in the 30s. And I don't think they've changed. I think that that's another reason why they've got their hands, kind of in the third world, sort of like Bill Gates and stuff. They really They like to mess with people that don't have the money and power that they do. So that's University of Chicago for you. Okay, here, ba-dum. Sorry, I need to go back. I need to go back here. Okay, what do you think of this? What do you think? I was really impressed. I liked it. I mean, it's small and just like a little sweet little spaceship. That is a home in Lahaina. And it boinged down, didn't it? It boinged to the ground. It's horrible, horrible, sad, horrible. And this, my dears, is a smart city. This is one that just is going up in Vegas. And, you know, Vegas, that's fine. There's like plenty of desert there. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But to like burn someone's place down in Maui to put that kind of boring thing up, I don't know. Okay, this is just an interlude. This is Burning Man. This is Burning Man tonight, huh? Okay, and this is a little special interlude for, who's this for? This is for Burger Bob, yeah. Johnny 666, you're the best. Yeah, he was saying I was a nut for even bringing up the direct energy weapons. And in a way, you don't need them there, right? But because, you know, they had the high dry grass, although people are saying it wasn't windy that day, that's kind of like BS. But here is our famous everything burned but blue, because it came from a blue beam. And the blue beam, see, the blue beam could get everything but the blue piece of material there. And you can see a lot of blue things just for some reason did not get hit. So there's, you know, there's controversy. Of course, you're going to see other things that burned or didn't burn, but it's really freaky looking down at some pictures where like everything is completely toast except stuff that is blue clues. So I had to do this one for, is it Burger Bob, who just can't handle that. See, there's your blue car there. But there's some really good examples out there if you're into checking it out. You know, there was something where everything was burned except a stack of blue suitcases, right? Here, everything burned except the blue garbage bin. Okay, this, you know, and then of course they're upset because, you know, Oprah has like a blue car and Oprah has a blue house, and, you know, so, and everything burned except that which was blue. So there's kind of a lot of upset around that, and I just thought Burger Bob would have a good time with that I would dare to bring up the nuttiest of the nutty things. The blue test, all right. But you know, they could change it to a red laser next time, you know. So remember, they're always one step ahead. As soon as you find out something, they'll go and change it, won't they? Okay, here we go. So we're still with the Rockefellers now, and that their big thing really was eugenics. That's like their big thing. So, okay, here it says John D. Rockefeller donated land for United Nations. Okay, I can't find my Stockyard article, so I had to piece it together. But he donated the land. What a nice guy, huh? He donated the land for the UN. He's not going to make a dime off it, right? He just donated the land for the United Nations. I don't know about you, but, you know, and I wish I could find that old article. I'll see if I can find one of my old vids where I was using that article, because the stockyards were here. They're on the East River, and Rockefeller wanted to know, how can I make more money The stockyards are only making me so much. How can I up my ante? All right. So he quote unquote donates the land for the UN. So the UN is basically going to be his puppy, right? I mean, come on. It's like, it's his. That is a Rockefeller thing, just like Rockefeller Center and all the other places. I had a friend that used to say, that's the biggest waste of space in New York. It's like giant and has a yard and they don't do anything. They do stuff all right. They tax us, and then Rockefeller keeps the money, or they use it. Okay, wait, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast here. Or they use it to, okay, yep, so it's got here Turtle Bay History Stockyards. We're there. And then here it says UN headquarters, and then we've got, anyway, yep, there's some kind of sad stuff with the cow tunnels, poor animals, and now we are inside the UN. And we did this in the last one too, where we went into the deep belly. The deep belly, here's a better pic there. The deep belly, and I called that the monolith. I think I called that like the monolith out of 2001. But you know, looking at it closer, this thing is too short to really be a monolith. It looks more like a sacrificial altar. So God knows, Lord knows, Lucifer knows, Allah knows who is getting sacrificed there at night when the UN closes its doors. Is this where Hildebeest has her parties? Maybe so. Okay, and then here's something from Lucis Trust, which is, you know, it was originally theosophical, but I don't know, because that's the Lucis Trust room in the UN. So here we go. There is no religion higher than truth. And this looks like one of those coexist things, doesn't it? It looks like a coexist thing. So yes, the UN meditation room. And here we've got it. We've got our little Lucis Trust. So let's look a little bit more into this. Here we've got the esoteric meaning of Lucifer, where Lucis Trust is saying that Lucifer, that Lucis Trust was once called Lucifer Trust, and they're saying such was never the case. Okay, so here we've got this, you know, and I also had a UN website that said, you know, that's not true, and we're the United Nations, and we say that it never was. But if you look at old stuff, it was the Lucifer Trust. So it's interesting that they're really trying to cover their tracks here, you know, and it was the Lucifer Publishing Company. And when you look at the old stuff, it was, and the only reason it was changed was because people were having a fit. People were having a fit over it being called the Luciferian Trust. So, you know, it's interesting that they're saying, no, it was always just called Lucis. You know, it has nothing to do with Lucifer. It's just Lucis. And yet you see all of the history goes back to this kind of weird New Age, kind of strange pre-New Age stuff. So there we've got it, you know, there we've got it. Many blessings. Tell me what you think about this Cirrus Trust out of Chicago, where the Rockefellers erected an entire university just for eugenics and westward expansion. So with that, I bid y'all adieu. May you stay safe. May you stay warm. May you stay dry. May the wind be on your back. And may great fortune come and be with you always. Many, many blessings.